red-haired wild rose crested the obsidian ridge as twin moons rose, one silver, one the color of old blood. The air thrummed with a low harmonic howl, not wild or feral, but measured, almost choral. They emerged from the basalt forest in silence. Hominid wolves, tall, broad-shouldered, fur braided with bone rings and moonstone. Their eyes reflected the moons differently. The silver-eyed watched her with curiosity, the red-eyed with hunger held carefully in check. Children peeked from behind armored legs. Elders leaned on staffs etched with lunar cycles stretching back thousands of turns. Wild Rose did not reach for her blaster. She reached instead for the small telescope she always carried, tilted it upward, tracing the moon's slow dance. She spoke softly, naming their phases, guessing at eclipses yet to come. A ripple passed through the pack. Among the Lunarch clans, knowledge of the moons was kinship. To know the sky was to respect the mother howl and the devouring twin, the moons that governed birth, war, and the sacred feasts. Predators they were, yes, but not without law. The alpha, scarred muzzle, iron-gray fur, stepped forward. His voice was thunder wrapped in restraint. You stand unclaimed beneath our moon's soft-skinned traveler. Many would name you prey. Wild Rose met his gaze, heart-hammering, chin lifted. Then I stand here unafraid, she said, because prey does not look the hunter in the eye and speak of the sky as family. Silence. Then a low rumble, laughter or approval. The alpha raised his claw, not to strike, but to mark the dust with a crescent. A stranger who honors the moons may yet earn a name, he said. But know this, Wild Rose of the Red Sun, friendship among wolves is deeper than blood, and betrayal is answered by teeth. The pack closed in, not circling, not attacking, claiming. Whether Wild Rose would become moonkin or the spark that ignited a holy hunt across the stars would depend on what she chose to do when the red moon finally eclipsed the silver. The eclipse came early. The red moon devoured the silver not on the night foretold, but 3 cycles too soon, an impossible omen recorded only once before, etched into bone tablets older than the wolf clans themselves. The elders wailed. For the Lunarch wolves, this was the sign of the blood guest, a soft-fleshed starborn who walks unbroken beneath the twin moons and brings either ascension or extinction. Wild Rose stood alone on the basalt plain as the light died. Her saucer hovered behind her, humming, alien geometry mocking the sacred sky. To the wolves, it was no vessel. It was the third moon made of metal. The fracturing of the pack, the clans shattered that night. The Silver Howl believed Wild Rose was the Moonbinder, sent to unite flesh and star. The Red Moor declared her the devouring lie, proof that the universe meant to replace them. The Ashen Mothers, keepers of cubs and prophecy, spoke last, and spoke softly. If she bleeds beneath the eclipsed moon and lives, the stars will burn. To prove dominion, a Red Moor warlord struck first, boarding a nearby trade station and slaughtering its human crew, broadcasting the feast across subspace. The message was clear. Humans are prey. The moons demand war. Humanity answers the howl. Earth did not answer with ritual. It answered with fleets. Carrier groups burned through jump space, rail cannons glowing like newborn suns. Politicians called it containment. Admirals called it extermination. The media called the wolves savages, never mentioning the cubs dragged from smoking warrens by orbital fire. Wild Rose watched the first lunar city break apart. She heard the howl, not rage, not hunger, grief. The prophecy completes itself, captured by the Ashen Mothers. Wild Rose was brought before the Moon Archive, a hollowed asteroid lined with the bones of extinct star gods. There, the truth was revealed. The prophecy did not speak of a wolf or a human. It spoke of a bridge species, a mind that could choose mercy while holding annihilation. Her saucer was not a ship. It was a key, a relic from the same vanished civilization that had once uplifted the wolves, then abandoned them when they learned to kill too well. The wolves were not conquering. They were reclaiming their creators' graves. The war becomes holy when Wild Rose escaped, bloodied but alive beneath the eclipsed moons. The galaxy broke. Wolf clans began ritual planetfalls, consuming only military targets and leaving civilians untouched. Human forces deployed moon killer weapons, cracking sacred satellites in half. Entire neutral systems chose sides, terrified of becoming the next prophecy verse. The wolves howled her name across subspace. Wild Rose, who stands between. To humans, she became a traitor. To wolves, a blasphemy that might save them. The final choice. At the war's height, Wild Rose stood at the control heart of her saucer, now fully awake. Before her, a command that would shut down all lunar-based FTL, ending the wolves' civilization forever. Or an awakening sequence that would restore the ancient Star Forges, giving the wolves power to burn Earth to cinders. The prophecy's last line glowed in bone script. When the red guest chooses, the moons will either become graves or thrones. Wild Rose closed her eyes. Outside, fleets burned. Cubs howled. Earth watched. And the moons waited. Wild Rose made her choice as the moons bled into one another. Not as a human, not as prey, not as moonkin, but as witness. She did not choose the wolves. She did not choose Earth. She chose the silence between wars. The mercy, the saucer unfolded. Petals of impossible metal opening into a geometry that hurt to look at. Ancient systems awoke, older than wolf or human, older than hunger itself. Wild Rose spoke the final command, sever the anchor. Across the galaxy, every structure tied to lunar FTL, wolf and human alike, faltered. Jump gates died.
Moon forges collapsed into inert stone. Weapons that fed on tidal gravity went dark. The wolves screamed, not in rage but in loss. For them, the moons were not just holy. They were home, and Wild Rose had unmade them. The tragedy, the sacred moons did not explode. They fell. Pulled from their locked orbits, they descended slowly, beautifully, inevitably, burning in the skies of wolf-held worlds like dying gods. Cities evacuated. Clans fled. Elders sang the death songs meant only for stars. Billions lived. But the Lunarch civilization, as it had existed for 10,000 cycles, ended in a single night of fire and ash. The wolves would survive. The moons would not. Earth's salvation and shame human fleets froze as their targeting systems failed. Admirals shouted. Presidents demanded answers. Then the skies cleared. No more howls in subspace. No more ritual planetfalls. No more holy war. Earth was saved, not by victory, but by disarmament forced upon all. Wild Rose transmitted one final message, unencrypted, to every human world. We were never the heroes of this war. We were only the loudest. She was declared lost in action before the broadcast ended. The exile, the wolves did not hunt her. They did not thank her. They named her Moon Quietus, the one who ends songs. The Ashen Mothers watched in silence as her saucer vanished into dark space, its power spent, its purpose complete. No prophecy followed her departure, only absence, the mercy that lasts generations later. Wolf cubs are born under ordinary stars, learning to hunt without destiny written overhead. Humans tell conflicting stories. Some call Wild Rose a traitor, others a savior. No empire rules the moons, because there are no moons left to rule. And far from charted space, a lone craft drifts. Wild Rose is older now, the red in her hair streaked with silver. She tends a small garden grown from alien soil. Life chosen, not foretold. When she looks up at the stars, she does not pray. She remembers, because mercy, when it is real, always costs everything. Long after the War of the Howling Moons faded into cautionary myth, travelers spoke of a woman who drifted between systems in a ship that no longer jumped, only wandered. They called her many things. Moon Quietus among wolves, the unchooser in human academies, the red ghost in pirate space lanes. But to herself, she was still Wild Rose, the pride that ruled the stars. She met them at the edge of a golden nebula. Hominid cats, taller than humans, lean and muscled, eyes like polished suns. Their armor was ceremonial yet lethal, etched with conquest tallies. Their banners bore a single sigil repeated across worlds. We were first. They called themselves the Aurelian Pride, and they did not ask who she was. They told her, "You stand within dominion claimed before your species learned fire," purred the Pride Lord, tail flicking with contemptuous grace. "All stars you see are ours by birthright." Around them, war fleets lounged like basking predators, idle, confident, bored by resistance. Wild Rose felt the old weight settle in her chest. Not moons again, she thought. Not destiny carved into someone else's bones. The test, the Aurelians did not fear prophecy. They feared humiliation. To be seen yielding, even to a lone wanderer, was unthinkable. So they did what proud cats always do. They tested. A captured outpost. A scheduled execution. A demand that Wild Rose kneel and name them sovereigns of all routes. She did not reach for weapons. She did not reach for ancient machines. She reached for story. A legend told sideways while Rose asked permission to speak. Amused, the Pride allowed it. She told them of the wolves, but not of their war. She told them of the moons, of how believing the sky belonged to you could make it your go, or your grave, of how victory achieved by inevitability tasted like ash, of how empires built on "we were first" eventually met someone who arrived later and ended them by accident. The Aurelians listened, not because they believed her, because cats always listen for weakness. The difference in here, the universe bent. The Aurelians did not worship the stars. They owned them. No sacred moons, no prophecy bones, no ancestral debt to ancient makers. Their pride was cultural, not cosmic, which meant it could be wounded without being destroyed. The mercy without destruction. When the execution began, Wild Rose acted, not with annihilation, with exposure. She opened her ship's archives, raw, unfiltered recordings of the Wolf War, the falling moons, the howls, the silence after. She transmitted it live, not just to the Pride Lord, but to every Aurelian citizen world. And then she did something new. She left. No ultimatum, no command, no sacrifice, just absence. Aftermath, the execution did not finish. Pride captains hesitated. Citizens questioned. Young warriors asked why rulers who claimed the universe had never shown them the cost of claiming it. Civil war did not erupt, but certainty cracked. The Aurelians remained powerful. They were simply no longer sure they deserved everything they touched. The legend changes. Wild Rose became something else that day. Not a destroyer of destinies, not a silencer of gods, but a mirror. Among the cats, she is remembered as the one who walked away first. Among the stars, whispers say, if Wild Rose stays, a civilization ends. If she leaves, it must decide what it is. And somewhere beyond map space, her ship drifts on, no longer a key, no longer a weapon, just a woman who has learned that not every war must be stopped. Some must be allowed to doubt themselves.